Dude, they overcomplicated, I swear to God. Let's see if it pops up.
Maybe we should try this yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, at least
Bro.
we'll know after this one. Oh,
Is it
Dude,
going?
they overcomplicated.
it's live.
Yeah.
Alright, I can hear myself on your... So maybe mute.
I just muted it.
Yeah. Sorry for the technical difficulties. But we are finally live. It is more complicated than I thought to start this. Okay, let me see if I can see the live chat.
This Drew's World's already calling us out.
Yeah, we're slacking. I'll just have it on my phone.
You're 3 minutes late.
Yeah. Well, especially if it only keeps us for an hour, but I don't think that's the case. Okay. Welcome to everyone who's here. And thank you, Kai, Dylan, for joining me.
Yes, sir, of course.
Pleasure. We haven't actually hopped on a call before, but we go way back to a dark, distant time, which we'll get into. But
yeah,
I guess for anyone that's here, do you want to just start by introducing yourself and maybe how you got back into the hobby?
Sure. My name is Kai. Well, my internet persona is Kai, but it's my middle name too. First name's Dylan, so you'll hear both all the time. I prefer Kai. I started with Pokemon. I played all the games up from Sapphire up until Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. And then I stopped right there. I heard it got really good at Black and White, but I never got to experience that myself. The only cards I did as a kid was Yu-Gi-Oh! I played GX and 5Ds, so shout out to my Yu-Gi-Oh players. Then I literally stopped because everyone grew up and it was like cards are lame. And then college came around and I needed extra money, so I went to resell Pokemon cards, and that was the introduction of me getting back into TCG. And I was like, wow, this is like rekindling my childhood hobby, and it actually makes an income. And then obviously steamrolled till now, and then I don't know if you want to talk about the Metazoo thing now or later. That's the dark.
So I guess just to back up a little bit. So when, what year was this exactly that you started? I guess getting back into reselling or.
I believe it was 2019. It was during right before COVID or during COVID. I was in this resale group and they were telling us things to buy, which was a Shining Legends Super Premium Ultra Collection box. The red box.
Yeah.
I
never had one of those, but those are what, 600-700 now, something like that.
Oh yeah, I'm hurting right now. Every time. I mean, it was a great come up at the time, but that's what brought me back in, was that time frame. The Shining Legends, when those were on clearance, all that jazz.
Nice. Cool. And then so that was, I mean, you did that from 2019 till 2021 ish, or
right. I think
you found
right. So I did that reselling, just nitty gritty hustling, just honestly, I was a Walmart flipper.
Hey, no shame.
Loud and proud. I was doing a lot of offer up deals, like Hidden Fates, ETPs, and then the Shining Legends, obviously, and then Evolving Skies, Champions Path. That was my little window of where I began. And then it led me to Metazoo, which I came across a Rudy video. I'm pretty sure you're a Rudy fan too, or you watch his content.
Yep.
Well, he was pretty much promoting Metazoo. Yeah. And then I got into it because it was resellable, and then I ended up playing the game, and I was like, oh, it's actually really fun. And then then I steamrolled into winning their second place at their national series, which I got the money for, which was $50K, and I threw it into Pokemon business. And then fast forward, now we're doing Pokemon full time.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of answers my next question, which was, I mean, I wrote what your journey was to becoming a business owner, but I know, so we sort of mentioned before the stream, but so it's been a few years that you've done it as a business, but you did it by yourself originally, was your brother also helping out, or is that sort of a separate?
Oh, so we actually made the LLC together because we were going to do a bunch of other things for whatever reason, and then ended up just I just ended up taking it for myself and using for Pokemon cards only.
Oh,
Like
I
we
see. Okay.
right, we were gonna do like real estate and crypto. We were doing all this stuff, but then he was like, "I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do it later. So just take the LLC and go do Pokemon cards." And I was like, "Cool."
Nice.
So we technically own the LLC together, but really I just use it for Pokemon cards. But he's very supportive of what I do for sure.
That's cool. And
Yeah,
is he all? He's also still in Texas. Because
yeah.
you
We
guys got a house.
right. We got a house together. We're both in Texas. He does pharmacy, which was I was gonna go in the medical field as well, if not for the Pokemon direction. It's quite a
That's what
duality
you
for
were in
both.
school for.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna go the pharmacy route as well. Then I ended up taking business. I took biology for 3 years. I had a free year off, and I did kind of want to stay in school one more year, so I took on business. And then that combination led me to Pokemon.
Wow. Who would have
Yeah,
thought?
who would
So
have thought?
all those pharmacy pre-med
I was
students,
useless. It's
yeah.
useless. I don't do anything with it.
So now the current, I guess, just to transition. So the current strategy or business model for you is you do online as well as obviously you vend a lot of the card shows.
Right.
Do you have like a cap? I mean, I saw you at the Tacoma one, obviously near Seattle, but
Mm.
I'm assuming you go kind of how do you decide which ones you want to do? Is it sort of based on your schedule or is it also with Zach as well, or?
Yeah, so for the shows, that's like our like weekly like business. So the shows we treat it as like a way to churn our inventory. Like we have so much inventory, but there's like a million ways to like, churn it. So vending is one of those ways, and we prioritize going to all the collecticons. And then front row is becoming more popular, right? So we started going there.
Yeah,
Um, Dallas card scene is awesome. So it's local too, so like I just don't want to like go outwards. So I'm kind of leaving it at those three, like Collecticon, front row, and then local Dallas shows. And then there's like the random one-offs like Card Party or something like that.
right. Which
The
I
ones that
think,
are like they're awesome.
yeah, I was
Go
gonna
for
say, I
it.
think Card Party's in Seattle this year, so I think I'm going to that with West and Eric from Rock Mountain, so that should be fun.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that's cool. Let's see what else. So I guess so. You vend the shows. How do you sort of manage or like optimize your inventory? I guess for those shows, if you have so much, I'm curious how you decide like what to bring, or is it just sort of like the most expensive stuff, or how do you determine? I guess for
Yeah,
like someone who's starting out, like because I know a lot of people have like too much essentially, and it's like, how do I
right.
figure out what to bring?
I always, assuming it's a 1 to 2 table kind of situation, because
Right.
if you have multiple tables, it's kind of hard to deal with. But for me personally, I like to have 2 tables. One if it's going to be a busy show kind of thing, but two I can kind of spread around and like do a lot of things. Let's just say you have 1 table. So table real estate is highly important.
Yeah.
It's like crucial. And if you're local,
Every foot counts, definitely.
every foot counts because you're like every
Every
moment you're
inch
selling,
counts.
every inch counts. It has to be actively making money for you or like you know working for you pretty much. But if you're a local show, the cheat code is having a shelf behind you, and then having your 1 table. It's like slabs, singles in front of you, and then all sealed behind you. It's like having 2 tables. It's like a cheat code. But
Is it hard to do that at Collecticon?
not at well, for traveling shows, it's hard, but
I
for
see.
like the Dallas and Houston ones, I will have a shelf, and I will be utilizing that shelf like crazy. But in terms of like prioritizing your table space, you want to go with what um, sells faster at a show. Like you don't want to put bad inventory because you've been stuck with it forever. You want to put stuff that's gonna sell. Because let's say for example, I mean, let's do this card for example. Like it's a Gold Star Groudon versus like a Master Ball PSA 10. I mean, this is a great card. It's, people will collect it, but there's probably like 5 more people who want this card.
Yeah, and probably something that's a little underappreciated is like sometimes, I mean, for me, I try to stay in that sweet spot of like, I don't know, 100 to like 300, $500 maybe. So probably
Yeah.
Groudon Gold Star I won't have very often, but occasionally I have cards like that. And sometimes, even if they don't sell fast, they can bring eyes to your other items as well. So maybe someone can't afford the
Oh,
Groudon Gold Star, but then they're like, oh, he has, I don't know, something from
that's
Prismatic
the
or
card that
newer
I
card.
think a few times.
Yeah, that's cool. So I guess yeah, that's good advice. Bring things that you think are actually going to sell, not necessarily things that you need to like offload, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like especially cuz I feel like in person you can get like I don't know, in my experience with it, very limited experience, you can get pretty much top dollar for most things. Like and there's a lot of people who would just buy things without like any question. Like it's there in front of them, they look at it, they're like, "Will you take like $10 off or $15 off?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to
yeah, for
hassle
sure.
you for like a $500 card or whatever." But
Like at the collect cons, like the negotiations are sometimes it's like crazy because someone just like straight up, like you said, just buys the card, don't even negotiate. I'm like, whoa, nice.
yeah,
But it doesn't happen all the time, so don't assume that's the normal. But it's very nice when it happens.
yeah, if you're not willing to negotiate, I think you're gonna have a hard time. Again, if your goal is to sell things, like you know, to in order to reinvest or to potentially buy another deal that comes around, you can't just be like super stingy or. And everyone's always comparing like the fees on eBay and PayPal fees and all this stuff, and it's like that. It all ends up being a wash, anyways, in the sense that if you take $10 off or $15 off, there's your 3% or whatever it is, you know. So I think people
Right.
get too in the weeds about it. It kind of all equals out over time, and I think that's sort of the natural way it's meant to happen. But yeah, your
I for
goal is to make sales. Your goal is not to like gatekeep like $10 because what like in that
sure.
scenario with like the Groudon or something like that, for example, a higher end card, you're really
Mhm.
counting on someone else then to come and pick it up for top dollar when the next person's probably going to give you the same offer, if not possibly worse. So you have to like keep that in mind, I feel like. But all right,
Also,
what's
oh,
on
go
that?
for it.
No, I was just gonna say on that topic. Then what's like on the topic of business and just like doing this full time? What's like one key piece of advice you would give someone who's just starting out or maybe has like a bit of inventory and I don't know, they're new to the scene. Maybe they've posted sometimes in Facebook, that sort of thing, but they're trying to like figure out how to get some traction and really start, I guess, yeah, that burn and churn or snowball effect. What
Yeah.
would or what worked for you, I guess, that you think?
I guess for me was that when I first started, there was like so much content, so much advice from every single person. It was a lot to absorb. So I would say for my new people out there, like find someone who you like actually agree with like personally and start applying their concepts. Because like Rudy is a person I believe like his concepts are pretty good. And then there's a lot of other YouTubers who just like constantly hate stuff and like bash stuff, and I'm just like, that ideology kind of sucks sometimes. So like when you're hearing all this content, just absorb what you think applies to you. Because if you listen to everyone, you'll never get far. I think if you listen to to people who cater to your styles, and it only like makes you stronger in your style. So I guess that's my little piece of advice. Pick and choose who you listen from.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I think that's solid advice, and you know, there's two sides to every coin, so you can
Right.
find both people. You can find the person who's for that item or set or whatever, and you can find someone who's against it or being negative, and it's sort of up to you who you choose to watch, not just because things are clickbaity, but what you actually like resonate with. So I think that's solid advice. So we'll hop into obviously the topic of the video in a second, which is Destined Rivals. I think it's probably been beaten like a dead horse from just messages and other videos and stuff. But let's thank you to the 9 people who are here. We passed 5 viewers. Yay!
Hey, we got 9 people.
Yeah,
Nice.
9 people. So we got a question from Connor T. Before we transition, he says, "How fast should you hold on to something before discount? Oh, how long should you wait? How fast should you hold on to something before discounting it? How long should you hold on? Um, I feel like that's a case by case basis, just in my
Right.
experience. Also, like what you, yeah, it totally depends. If it's like super low end, and also like if it's causing you like heartache. Like I had to face that reality when I started to treat this more seriously, because I feel like for me, from 2021, 2022, about halfway through 2023, I was like a collector who was also trying to make money. And I think the
Right.
transition from like the collector mindset to the more like business investment gain, any sort of like margin gain, made me realize that I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm a collector or a hoarder, but I have like way too much stuff. And a lot of it's
Right.
either losing me money or not making it's just flatlined. And so I had to face sort of that harsh reality of getting rid of a lot of stuff at losses in order to put it into something that would, put my money to work essentially. And I put it towards a lot of Scarlet Violet era cases at the time, 20 early late 2023, early 2024, and that was
I should
like,
have listened to this dude.
yeah, that was like the best decision ever.
I was a Scarlet Violet hater for sure.
I mean, you and I have had that conversation before. I think there's still some, I don't know, pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses for that era, but it's it's definitely proving to be more intense than I even thought. I mean, I feel like the timeline is so like crunched compared to like what everyone thinks. Like I was thinking 5 years, 7 years, but it's like
Yeah,
Surging Sparks came out like 6 months ago or eight
he's
months
doing
ago.
great.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But I guess my answer to that is like what's it called? Realizing that how important your capital is to you. Because when I first started, like capital, actually even to this point now, capital is so important that every dollar counts, and you pretty much. My first 3 years, it was me experimenting, buying like almost everything. You buy these collections, like there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, and then by year, like the second half of the year, stuck with all this bad stuff. So over time, you'll get really good at it. You'll figure out what's good, what's bad, and you literally become like a sharpshooter. You just aim at what's good, and then you stick at what's good, and then that's why we do these shows so often, is because it gives you so much experience with the crowd who's telling you what to buy, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I agree with
So
that.
time will tell, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's also kind of speaks to like not every opportunity is necessarily a good one. Like just because
Mhm.
there's a $3,000 collection on sale for 2,200 or 2,300 doesn't necessarily mean, if it's a bunch of $20, $30 cards, you're gonna have to essentially work harder to make what you spent back, and
Right.
then, or potentially, like you said, get stuck with stuff that you don't want, which can be like more stressful for the amount of
It
time
happens
put
all the
in.
time.
Yeah. So I try to find like, I'm trying to scale that back myself in terms of like, I
Mm.
was very much always jumping on. I was like, I can burn through this easily. But then it's like, once you really get to listing it, people are going to start offering you 85, 80% on these $20, $30 cards. And you're like, oh, shoot, this is not moving as fast as I was
Yeah,
hoping.
it
But
becomes like, dang, this is what I bought it for.
yeah. All right. So let's transition to the talk of the town, Destined Rivals. I guess before getting, because I feel like, me personally, it feels like there's more like negativity than positivity around it. That's just how I perceive it. I think it looks great. I think it'll do very well. But before we get into some of the, I feel like, market criticisms or
Mm.
analysis on what's going on, I'm curious what your initial impressions are. What excites you the most about the set, or are you just not, super stoked about it? I don't know. It feels
Okay.
like a mixed bag from people.
Yeah, so for Destined Rivals, it's two parts. For English, it's going to be Battle Partners Japanese, and then Glory of Team Rocket Japanese. So, or sorry, not Battle Partners, Heatwave. Sorry about that. So Heatwave was phenomenal to me. I thought it was a phenomenal art design. All the changes were awesome. So the Cynthia specifically is like my ultimate chase card for Scarlet and Violet. I think that card is awesome with the Garchomp. The Glory of Team Rocket, as soon as I saw the set release, I was like, dude, this sucks. That was my initial reaction, because I was expecting like extreme heat. I was expecting the best set of Scarlet Violet. I was expecting like an S tier, top tier set. And I think I just had my expectations way too high, just because I thought, Glory Team Rocket is going to be a massive villain set, which I think
Right.
are always cool. But as soon as I saw the Mewtwo, I was like, no. I was like, no. And then that's when the community, it was very split. I'd probably say it was like 65% negative, and then what was that 35% positive? That's the vibe I felt. I don't know if that's correct way to approach it. Initially, I think the entire set is going to be very weak, but over time, it's probably going to be one of those situations like it's a good set.
You think the
Why did
set's
everyone?
gonna be weak?
No, I mean, well, I like Surging Sparks over Destined Rivals.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that feels like a hot take.
I
Okay,
mean,
I'm not.
that's
I
just
can't.
how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you for your opinion, so that's valid. That's interesting though.
I
I
think
wouldn't have thought. You think so? You're just really not a fan of. I mean, essentially, part of the problem too is that the Mewtwo is essentially like it's the game changer of the set, where it's like if that's not up to people's expectations or near their expectations, then everything else below that is just kind of crumbles a little bit. But
yeah, it should have been Top Chase, the Cynthia Garchomp, and then a crazy Giovanni Mewtwo card. I would have been like, yes, this is like the craziest set ever. But as of now, I'm like, I'll probably buy it as an investment vehicle. But like other than that, I don't like it personally. And usually when I don't like things, they do okay in the market. I'm just like,
so Dylan is the one who decides whether things
no, no,
do
no,
okay.
no, 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 that's not what I meant.
Nah, I think so. Okay, that's a valid take. Obviously, it's your own opinion, and you can. I feel like I was the same in the sense that do I think the Mewtwo is a little underwhelming? Yes, but again, you see, I feel like this is what happens with every single set. Is people with Rocket especially, right? Because we've known about this set for like a year now. They
That
teased
is
it
true.
at Worlds or whatever, like on that trailer, and everyone's like, "Oh, like Mewtwo." And now that it gets released, and it's like, I mean, people were saying some crazy stuff about what this Mewtwo like looks like, but it's it felt like it was probably too overhyped to where it can't live up to anyone's expectations. They could have released any artwork variation of Mewtwo, and what everyone's wanting is something that gives that more vintage Rocket feel. Maybe I don't know, but
That's
it
fair.
it felt like an impossible task to satiate for the hunger of the community. But I feel like the set is like super strong personally. Like when
Okay.
I'm looking at the SIRs, I'm just like, wait, let me see if I can share. I want to see if
The
I can
Hound
share.
Doom goes crazy.
The Houndum is nice. I personally like the I mean it I feel like it's strong because it has Heat Wave in it, but I could be wrong. But let me see if I
The Heat Wave
can.
is the best part for me and Destined Rivals. So I agree with you that one.
Oh, this is not sharing correctly. Um Technical
And you know what they
difficulty.
should have done?
Oh well.
You know what they should have done in Rocket?
Huh.
They should have had how Hound Doom's kind of like jumping on the top.
Yeah.
They should have had Persian like doing the little yin yang on the bottom right. That would have been like a crazy dual piece card thing, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys are missing all these good.
I just think with Heatwave combined with it, it's like I think it's personally stacked because you have I can't
Mm.
see a world in which Mewtwo, Ho-Oh, Garchomp are all any of those going to be under $100 raw. Even if they print it into the
Oh,
ground, I just don't see it. Like
that's
if
true. There is a Ho in there. I forgot about
yeah,
that.
Ho-Oh, Garchomp, Mewtwo, and then you have I feel like Moltres, Nidoking are kind of probably going to be like 60 $80 cards probably when everything settles, and then you have sort of those lesser SIRs, but they feel pretty, I don't know, I feel like it will be a good set. I like the Mewtwo or the from Heatwave again. To your point, I think Heatwave is very strong. You have Misty's Psyduck and Ethan's Typhlosion, which I think that's the best, one of the best IRs to release
It's a
like
great card.
to date. But some of the other IRs are pretty weak, honestly. But I don't know. So I guess.
I,
Sorry, go ahead.
if I had to compare it to like Sword and Shield, I feel like it's a very similar caliber to Chilling Reign, probably. Like Chilling Reign was when it first released, everyone was like, whatever, basic set. And over time, we're like, oh my god, this thing is fire. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the exact same thing, um, same caliber level. I don't think it's an Evolving Skies, but I wish it was. I think it's gonna be a Chilling Reign, which is still great, in the end. And in 5 years, we're all gonna be like, this box is worth a lot.
Yeah. So Connor asked, why? Wait, why is it gonna be a disaster? I guess that brings me to the next point, which is like the pre. I feel like it's the pre-order prices
Oh yeah,
are so. I mean, it's like upwards 300. I don't know if it's down below that now, but somewhere in that range. And I feel like a lot of people who are buying it at that price probably are going to get burned a little bit because just based on what I've heard, it's the same print run as Journey. So
yeah.
there should be a decent amount of it out there, but I don't know exactly.
It definitely will be a disaster because people, if I mean, if they're buying it at 300 and they're not able to like be okay with that, it's gonna burn a lot of people,
Well,
and
in
it
some
might be
cases, it's people buying in at 300 that say they don't like the set, and I'm like, what? What are we doing? Like, you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot that by doing
right.
that. I feel like, but
Well, I was offering to buy it at 250 for the booster box and then the Pokemon Center ETB back then before anything was released. I was going purely off of box design. I was like, all right,
oh my,
cool.
bro said now that the Mewtwo's out, I'm not buying it. So I
I
guess
legit,
so.
I'm not.
Yeah, that was my other question I had was what price point would make you like a bulk buyer to make like a solid, let's say like 3 to 6 cases or something where you're like, all right, I'm gonna build like a solid. I mean, I don't know what you and Zach are gonna get, but I'm
Yeah,
just curious for like yourself. If you were gonna, you had no connections or anything, and you were like, I want to make a position in this, but 300 is too much for me. What is that price point? Is it 250 or based on what we know now, but although pretty much the whole set being revealed?
I would let the market be like, oh my god, this set sucks, it's mid, and then it goes. My number is 200 per box. I think that's a great number. It's above retail. It's realistic. It's still like people are making their money still. Um, that's what I would comfortably buy a bunch of boxes at. I think it deserves to be $200 box. If anything, like I'm okay. I'm okay with spending this 200 because I think it'll be worth more eventually later. Like that's my comfortable point.
So let
Anything
me
above that,
let me follow up with that then and say, once everything settles out a little bit, and let's say the price does come down, are you saying essentially you think? I know you said you're a buyer at 200, but do you think that in essence, sets like Surging, Journey, if they were to stay the same, you think they would remain higher than Destined in that scenario? I don't know if that made sense, but like
kind of
essentially,
get you.
I feel like if Destined comes down, then the other ones naturally have to also come down. That's just how I see it. Because to me, it feels like Destined is like the tip of the market or the mountain right now. Like I don't see how what comes after Destined, even if it's black and white, I don't see how black and white can exceed what Prismatic has done. And I don't see
Mm.
how the following booster box set, whether it's megas, whatever, I don't see how that could outperform Destined in terms of like hype cycle. Like it just doesn't feel like it feels like this is what like all the buildup has been towards, which is kind of why I'm sort of taking my foot off the gas a little bit in terms of like I'm selling a few more things just to sort of cushion myself for if that is the case. But I guess I'm curious if you think if Destin does drop a bit, do you think it would ever drop? I don't know if you saw again. I was watching Alex and Eli's stream, but Paldea actually just crossed Surging, I think, as the most
Wait,
expensive.
really?
I think it's like 250 or 254 or something now on TCG Player. So I'm curious if you think again where you think Destin will settle in terms of like because I feel like it will be top three for sure. Maybe if we're not
That's a good point.
if we're excluding Prismatic, like where you think
Yeah.
it'll kind of settle.
Well, truthfully, I don't think any of them deserve 250.
That's fair.
I am a Scarlet Violet hater for years, but I think Surging Sparks. I truthfully think that Surging Sparks is an amazing set. I think because everyone likes Rocket and the general concept of the set, it will be probably number one of Scarlet Violet, the whole series. So maybe with my logic, 200 is not realistic. With all the other sets, like you said, are if they aren't down, then there's no
I
way that
I get what you're
rivals.
saying though, because I that was the price I had in mind when
Hmm.
everything took off originally too. Because when it started, I was like, I'm not paying above MSRP. Then it went to 250. I was like, I'm not paying above 200. Now it's 300. I'm like, I still don't really feel comfortable. It just feels like pre-release that's too high for it to be printed for the next 2 to 3 years or whatever. It feels too. If I'm talking about like from the best price to get in, but you could also get in a little bit higher and then buy as they come down. But it just feels like it feels too overhyped, especially with the sentiment around like the cards. Like no one is like absolutely losing their mind, I feel like, but
Well, I think that right now is a time where everything fixed itself because we have Journey Together like freaking crashed like crazy.
yeah.
I think that should be an MSRP set. Surging should be above that, so maybe it's like 190, 180. And then I believe Rocket should, or sorry, Rivals should be at 200, 220-ish area. 250 is like probably where it's going to be like realistically land at release. Like I don't want
You
to
think with the current, if it's the same amount as Journey, you think it'll get to 250, or do you think they'll have to print additional waves to get it there?
I think for the next 2 to 3 months, I believe it still will be 250. I don't know like if they're gonna print this thing to the ground, but I know that a lot of wealthy people are just gonna commit to this set no matter what. Like there was a lot of wealthy people committing into Surging, and then Journey Together, everyone was just like, whatever. But Rivals is like everyone across the board, whether you know what's going on or you don't know what's going on, are willing to commit money into this set. So I think because of that reason, I don't really see it going below 250, like for the next 2 to 3 months at least, unless like the entire market corrects itself. If the entire market corrects itself, then we should be seeing 200, 220. But if it does not fix itself, then we're at 250 probably for next month or so.
That's fair.
That's how I feel about it.
All right, we're holding 6 viewers. I see everyone's comments in the chat. I just want to say we will do whatever we don't get to. We'll do a little Q&A in the last like 20 minutes. So I just have a couple more things I want to ask Kai, and then we'll get to your questions. So feel free to wait until the end, or you can write them now. And I mean, we don't have that many messages, so I can go back and find them. But I guess yeah. So that sort of answered my question, which was like, what do you think happens to the market after such a high hype set releases? Which it's, I feel like everyone should be sort of prepared for some sort of pullback. I mean, it might not be crazy, but like just I would be nervous buying. I mean, people were paying crazy for like PC ETBs too, which just felt like I was seeing.
I will sell all mine soon.
Yeah. I saw someone buy one for like 1,200 or 1,000 on TCG Player. I'm pretty sure.
For what? A rocket?
For one rocket PC ETB.
I bought those at 250, so yeah. The overall market, it's such a scary time. Like right now, most of the advice that I've been getting is just to be capital ready for like the situations. Like I think Pokemon was way too hot for what it is. I think it's great for people who took risk. Like, me and you took risk over time, and I think we have the ability to reap the rewards of that during this year. I don't know what the next year is going to be like. I think it's going to be a phenomenal year, but I don't know if it's going to be as hot as this 2025 and 2024 season.
Yeah.
With all the tariffs going on, that's immediately affecting all the Japanese market, which like that's already changing like our card scene like today. Like as a supplier and seller, I could feel that already. The English market, Pokemon maybe have mastermind this to like kill the hype down. They knew that maybe Journey Together was like the calming point, calming the storm. And then if they weakened Rocket, maybe the things would stabilize possibly. I think that's like if they masterminded, they did a really good job.
I will say I don't think that was their plan. Was to
No, probably not. But
they
like
want to ride it out as long as possible.
probably. But I think that this market just is too hot. It's way too hot. I think it's awesome for us, but just way too hot. I think it's unrealistic to stay like this. So I would be cash ready if you can. And then I'm converting all of my stuff into like high end stuff. And I think that's even that's still risky personally. Like true de-risking is having cash on hand, is my personal opinion.
Yeah, I
So
think the moral of the story probably is that I think in agreement with you that there will probably be better opportunities than $200 to $300 Scarlet Violet era brand new box. I mean, these are like more expensive than a lot of Sword and Shield boxes still. Like
oh dude,
Silver
Silver
Tempest,
Tempest, yeah.
Astral, yeah. I think Brilliant is still just barely under 300. I think any Sword and Shield box under 300 is honestly like that's probably the best market opportunity right now because, in my personal opinion, not financial advice, because XY, Sun and Moon have seen insane, like more than double all of them pretty much. I mean,
Yeah,
Cosmic. I have a Fates Collide box still. I looked it up on TCG Player. There was a sale for like 1,200, 1,300. Yeah, the ETB. ETBs are a whole different beast for those
oh
eras
yeah,
because they're just so scarce. You just can't find
right.
them. But yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. I am in the same camp of like, if you are sitting on a ton of, this is my take, if you're sitting on a ton of sealed cases or loose boxes that you got in before like November-ish, December-ish, I probably would say you're chilling. Even if you got in a little bit after that, I don't think there's any problems. But all this sort of, again, 220, 300, it feels too juiced up for me personally to not think that there will be some pullback or some better opportunities. If you have a long-term mindset, 3-5 years, which I feel like a lot of people say they do, but end up selling like a year in, then
Yeah,
you're
that's
probably
all.
fine. Yeah, but a lot of the singles and stuff, especially those IRs and stuff that we see like pull back so drastically, it's hard to think that you should be like buying into a lot of that stuff right now. But
Yeah, I still can't believe Magikarp is. Oh my god.
I think
I
that's
might
just purely the grading aspect of it, probably.
well, possibly, but I might be. You know how each generation has like this generation doesn't understand.
Yeah,
I think maybe we're getting that age, or at least I am. I feel like I am because I was a Moonbreon fan, and then the generation above me was like, "That's a stupid card," and then I think nowadays I have that same feeling towards the Magikarp. I'm like, "That's a stupid card. I don't like that card at all." I mean, I love the card, but I don't think it deserves to be up here, kind of thing.
yeah. We just kind of have to let it ride out. I'm definitely,
Right.
the only times I've bought that card is when it's like a stupid discount. Like, I'm
Yeah, for
talking
sure.
like $40, $50 off of market. Then I'll be like, yeah,
That's,
that's
that's a great
fine.
deal.
Yeah, because I'll find someone, even if they lowball me $20 off, it's still in the green enough where it's like, depending on how things are moving, I
Yeah,
might
and in terms of
sell it.
business, I still pick it up, but I don't believe it should be there, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah, you definitely don't want to be like over leveraged on that stuff.
That is a scary.
Um, yeah, and I think some of the other critiques, just to hop back to Rocket and just some of the notes I took, was that I think, again, and there were some comments in the chat about it too, just like the OG Team Rocket. I think a lot of people initially expected to see dark Pokemon, and
Oh yeah.
also there's some big complaints about there not being a Jesse and James cards, which is definitely a big miss by Pokemon. But I feel like I have to like, I'm always of the belief that like they've done so well historically that there has to be like some calculation. Like, people say that as if like they don't know that Jesse and James is like, and Giovanni are the cornerstones of Rocket. I feel like for them to include other Rocket characters that might be not as talked about or well known, I feel like they're still pulling the strings in my opinion. So
I
that
mean,
could
they
be a hot
definitely
take,
know what they're
but
doing. They always know what they're doing. Like
yeah.
we will always look back on this time and be like, they were right.
I
Every
actually
single.
like I'm not a huge fan of the Giovanni trainer SIR with the other two Rocket people in the background. Um
I
what's
don't know if
her
I recall that.
what's her name? What's the girl with the red hair's name?
I actually don't know their names. The
I know it, but I can't remember it. But anyways,
are
I
they from
actually
original?
like her SIR, but I'm not a huge fan of the other. The Ethan's Adventure one isn't too bad.
Is it the one with
Um
the Marco?
Ethan's Adventure?
No, no, the lady.
No. Dude, I can't share my screen. I'm so scuffed, but no, that one's an IR. There's an SIR of her. It's just her head with like, her earring.
Oh,
Ariana,
Pokis.
that's what it is. Pokey-sun. Another big,
He made a post about the rocket boxes, like going to. I think they're already $100 per sealed box, which is
for
crazy because our
glory.
wholesale, yeah, for glory, our wholesale was just around like 140-ish, 130-ish, like 2 days ago. It's crazy,
Yeah.
but
No,
very very scary time.
I see like retro too. Retro is usually the lowest prices that
Yeah,
I see, and he's like already at like 107 or something for,
crazy.
yeah. It was just like 150 like 2 days ago. So
Like
It's
that's why I
tough.
always say, like, I always avoided this set until it's a reasonable price. I thought it was reasonable at the time. For businesses, it makes sense, but for a consumer, like, don't touch this at all. Like a standard consumer, just wait, just wait.
Yeah, I agree. Um, obviously, yeah. So there was critique around no Jesse and James, no Dark Pokemon, and then I feel like the kicker probably at this point is that the artwork critique on Mewtwo. It just feels like it wasn't what people were hoping to see, and so I wish we could like interview like the Pokemon design team and be like, what went into this decision to make.
On test two Mewtwo like breaking out the glass and then just it would have been so much. Well, they did the full art for Pokemon Pocket. I think that was like the good direction of like a darker tone Mewtwo. I think that's kind of what we were looking for in terms of like the physical.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, nice. Uh, do you do vendor movies?
Um, I haven't posted one. I've recorded the last couple shows just more so for security reasons. Pokesun, for vendor POVs, in my experience and just what I've seen at most shows, again, I've really only done local and Oregon, but it's typically the one that I use is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. That's
It's a
one of the
solid
big
one.
ones. I think like Milan uses that one, right?
Yeah. So that's what I want to convert to one day. But I have right now I'm using a Sony A7 III. It's like a large DSLR camera. It's a little bit too big of a setup. The portable DJI camera is like
Yeah,
a
that
lot
one's
easier, to
it's
be
very nice.
honest.
The biggest drawback is the battery life. You have to buy like extra battery packs. But
Ah,
so the
yeah.
DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is one of the big ones, and then I think the Insta 360 is the other biggest one I've seen. Like I know Baby Broly, Adrian uses that one. I think other people local to me use
Those are
that
kind of
one.
fun seeing when they just like shift the whole camera like
Yeah.
like
So
on the side.
yeah, in my experience, those are the two main ones. I like the Osmo Pocket 3 because I was able to get like it from REI on discount, and there's like a creator bundle where you could get like a microphone with it too. I think the microphones
That's
are
pretty good.
$100 to $200 on their own, so it pretty much almost paid for itself in the combo. But
Oh, nice. Jake is here. Let's go.
Jodo Jake, the goat, have you seen? He does really cool. Like I don't know if I think they're AI, but I don't know exactly. He does cool edits with.
The art's right.
Yeah, I wish I had that patience to like even editing the YouTube thumbnails. I'm like, bro, this is like driving me
Dude,
insane.
my thumbnails suck.
Oh,
My
mine are
my new
terrible.
editor, he's awesome. The new editor, he gets crazy thumbnails. I'm like, bro, this is cake work for you, man.
Yeah. All right, so let's. Yeah, no problem. Let's get into. I mean, we're at 5:45. I mean, technically, we've probably only been live for like 40 minutes, but we sort of touched on everything in terms of like current state of the market. I guess what do you think are, and I sort of touched on this already. What do you think are the most undervalued and overvalued
Oh,
cards and or
I have
products?
I have my favorite card. I've been stocking, not like intentionally stocking up on, but this is my favorite card that I think
Oh,
is super undervalued. The Arceus statue. Um, like, come on, Cosmic Eclipse is like 2,000 now or something like that.
yeah.
There's no way this should not be matching the box price in a PSA 10. That I think that's just outrageous because, like, I think traditionally all Sun and Moon sets, all the PSA 10 matches the box price. I'm not sure if
I did
that
not
math
notice that.
works.
You're saying for
I,
like unified
you
like
might
test tube.
know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get you.
Like what's it called? Like Gladius tag team, they're like 5,500. The team up box is around, I think, that price.
Yeah, I think
But
the
Cosmic
most
Eclipse
recent.
2K, should be a 2K to 2.5 to 3K card.
I kind of
I
regret selling mine because I probably will never buy it back. Maybe I'll get the Japanese one again, but I bought it for like 550 and then a month later it was like 900 and I was like, "Bro, I can't like sit here and pretend like that didn't just happen." But it is great artwork, and honestly, for the longest I don't know what is it at now raw, like 200 or something? Like
um I
it's
actually
probably
don't
more
know.
than that.
I'm
But it was
sorry, like 350.
okay, then it's way more than I thought. But it was really
Um,
like affordable for the longest time. Like I was posting about it too, just vaguely, where I was like, how is like you have cards like again, no hate to Sword and Shield, love Sword and Shield, but you'd have like the Lugia V alt would be like 250 at the time. And then that Arceus Dialga Palkia was like 180 or 170. And I was like, that is not
Yeah,
You kind of
this
have to.
card is phenomenal, man. This is crazy
That
card.
is like insane artwork for like a Pokemon card.
And then
That's
along the same lines, another like art design kind of one is this one. Well, more so the Hidden Fates ETB I think is undervalued because of this card. But
dumping your
the,
Hidden Fates heavy bags.
me,
Yeah,
I have no one's gonna listen to me. I'm one crazy dude on the internet. No one's gonna listen to me. Hidden Fates ETBs I think is undervalued. It's just like phenomenal promo. Great chase card. It's literally all the shinies. It's pretty
Shiny
much
Vault will go down as one of the best like gimmicks.
it was such a fun set to rip, and
Yeah,
it was like on shelves like a lot, which is fine. It is sold out still.
you got a
Those
Charizard too. That Charizard's like over 1,000, I think now. And
yeah.
then
So those would be my two undervalued picks. Um, Overvalued. That's a good question. Well, we already talked about the illustration rares, so maybe the illustration rares. Um, Jake did mention the ponchos. I think they're still worth it, but I feel like their climb is way too high. So maybe like believe he's talking about maybe the Mario poncho like reaching 10K. That was crazy. I don't think it deserves 10K, but I also like am a believer in weird things. I'm a believer in Van Gogh. That's also a little overrated right now. I'm a believe. I love that card, but I think it's just way too high, for what it is. It's a
yeah, I
glass bird
was
here all day. Yeah, that's a great card, dude.
yeah. There's just so many of them, but yeah, I think
That's a lot.
they are a good looking card. They should never have reached as low as they did. Like, I mean, they were
Hmm.
less than $15 or something at one point. I mean,
I should have snagged them.
yeah, but there were so many out there, and everyone did not like Pokemon at the time. So, or people
That's
did, but it
fair.
was just chasing the Charizard, Champion's Path, Hidden Fates. That's what it
I was
felt like.
part of that. Do
Yeah.
you have any underrated takes? Underrated, overrated?
Um, Overvalued. Probably again. I know we touched on, and this hurts me to say because I have so much Scarlet Violet era, but I don't know if they're overvalued necessarily. I just think the possibility of reprint is still 100% there for a lot of sets. So
That's fair.
it's overvalued in that sense, but do I think it'll reach those targets eventually in the next few years? It feels like every era it gets more and more intense and like shaken up to where like you lose. I was not expecting there to be another boom like this, and it feels more intense in some ways than COVID, just in terms of the price rises in modern. Um, but yeah, overvalued. I don't know. Things like the ponchos and stuff. I don't know if I'll say they're overvalued, but they're probably properly valued in the sense that like I don't think they should be like they've had really drastic climbs already. It's hard to think that they'll keep going more and more as of right at this exact moment, but in the future for sure. Um, that was for overvalued, undervalued. Again, I think the most screaming buy right now is any Sword and Shield box under $300. Any Sword and Shield boxes you can get at 80-85%
Really good
market.
pickup, man.
Yeah, it feels like a no-brainer to me, regardless of pop report, regardless of any of that. It just feels like they had their pullbacks, then they started to climb back up, and some of them have already like fusion, chilling, they're already like back to where they were, like peak.
Oh,
Um
really?
yeah, I
I've
think
kind of like lost track of them, but
I think fusion or yeah, fusion's like almost 500 again. I think chilling's almost
Ooh,
350. So
damn.
yeah, it's Lost Origin 400. It came back and then just completely took off again. So
Yeah,
um Mario at 9.5K. Yeah. There's definitely
that's
been some
insane.
crazy sales. That's the other thing too, is this guy Z and G, he is like he
He's going
is the
crazy.
market. He is the
He
market.
is.
Like his comps are pretty much like, I mean, when they're not paid for, obviously. I wish there was an easier way to find out if things got paid for other than waiting for his Instagram post, but
Yeah.
it is crazy how much he auctions. Like he's probably doing like a third of the sales of just like all cards. It feels like him and
You
Percy.
can just get like a bowl of popcorn and just watch these auctions, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it'll be like crazy, like full XY mega, like of like all evolutions, all fates collide secrets. It's just a crazy thing to see. But hey, okay, let's wind down. We sort of mentioned this, but as someone who wants to buy a house in the next few years, I'm curious. on what that experience was like with your brother.
Oh yeah.
Just like how you feel about it now. Are you happy you did it? That sort of thing. Any
Oh,
tips to
I'm like
first time home buyers?
so happy, dude. I'm very happy because this context not many people know, but I live in a really bad neighborhood like currently, and like I had the house robbery last year. That was a massive thing, like devastating loss to me and my business. But so for me, moving to a better area with my brother, it's like a massive win. I'm extremely happy. This is like the stepping stones for like building the foundation for our family again, because we used to have a house, but they had to sell it for like financial reasons. And then we had all our family went to California. We stayed here. So me and my brother like holding down the fort in Texas. This is like super happy news for us, kind of thing. So we're very excited for that. The process was actually like really good. We had an awesome realtor. I will say, um, hunting houses is literally like hunting like grail cards. If you don't buy it then and there, it's gone. It's like when you tour a house, you like it, you act on it pretty much, or someone else puts an offer in within the same like we you just toured it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's my advice for you because we toured maybe like 10 houses and we liked almost like three of them. And then we liked the house. It went to, contract was taken, right? And we liked the house, contract was taken. And we were like, okay, we're not letting this third house go because it like hit all of our requirements, like our price budget, what we wanted, large space for the dogs, all that jazz, nice area. And then so pretty much just act super fast and then just go at it. Pretty much is my best advice. And make sure you like just be firm with your decision. Don't buy it because you just like, oh, it's a nice pool or whatever. Like you gotta love that thing, and then you gotta act fast when you love that thing.
Yeah, that's good advice. I think that
Yeah.
yeah, it sort of has to be right place, right time, but also
Hmm.
don't think that
Thank
you're
you. Thank you.
gonna find, you know, an insanely better deal just because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of other people looking in the same scenario, or people, I know people that have multiple houses that are just like, oh, this is a great buying opportunity or whatever. So
Oh, well, this is a huge tip. This is a crazy tip from my realtor. So I was treating it like Pokemon cards. I was like, oh, we can kind of like just undercut these guys, and like the price will go down, and we meet in the middle type thing. It does not work like that, but so when you negotiate for the house, you want to like start adding in stuff that they already own at the house that gets netted into the deal. So we contracted in the deal that we get a lot of their like patio furniture, the laundry dryer kind of thing. We like baked all this kitchen table like stuff that probably cost us like 20-30K into the deal, and it helped us close the entire sale.
at
So I
the
would just say
original
like
ask, or did you have to add that on
we
top?
actually got a lower price. It was probably like 10 to 20K below the asking price. But because we did that, we were like, can we have all this stuff that's
I
worth like
see.
a bunch? And then they're like, yeah, let's do it because they wanted to move fast. And we're like, thank God they said yes because now we get a cheaper house and then we all have all this stuff on top of it too.
Yeah,
So
that sounds like probably the biggest pain that people don't think about too is like you're gonna have to rebuy a lot of things. Furniture it seems like is the hardest thing to fit. Like your furniture in your current setup might not fit. The couch might not get in there and look
oh,
the way
dude, it's
you
gonna
want.
be an expensive journey for me this next year, but
Yeah.
I'm very excited to get out of that bad area and into this new house. I'm very excited.
Well, congrats on the new house.
Thank you.
And I guess just to round it up, let's jump to Metazoo real quick because we're down to 5 viewers. No one cares anymore. Uh,
Damn.
no, I'm kidding. And then we'll do a whoever's left if anyone wants to pop questions in the chat for anyone that's still around, we'll hang around for another like 10-15 minutes. But I guess I'll give you my take first just because it's straightforward. I have lost all respect or trust for Metazoo regardless of who owns it, who's operating.
Sure.
I'm glad it's under much better management now and more
Hmm.
like intentional, it feels like. But I just, similar to Rudy, I guess it left a bad taste in my mouth where I don't know. Dude, the only Metazoo card I like intentionally kept,
Is it a Rudy?
even worse, Metapoo.
Oh my god.
Metapoo Metal, PSA 9. I have two of them. If anyone wants one,
Oh my
I'll sell it
god.
to you for $50. Um,
That's cool.
yeah. It was a
I'm
good
surprised you don't.
time.
Yeah.
It definitely started my collection and allowed me like all the samples I had back then. I was able to pretty much build the position I have in Pokemon from
Am
it.
I not mistaken? Is that how we met? Was through like Metazoo cards?
Yeah, I don't know exactly at what point we actually started conversing, but yeah, I believe it was before you started competing, I think, maybe just before
Okay.
that. But yeah, somewhere along the lines. But yeah, it's been a couple years. Time flies.
Right. I guess my take on it is you're very valid in your take on Metazoo. Like, dude, I completely understand. I have a lot of friends who have been burned. Like, I've been burned personally through old Metazoo leadership, and I'm very like, if I like something, I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna see through the pain and get and still get to where I want to get to. So Metazoo 1.0 definitely burned me. They owe me some money, so hopefully we get that back. Metazoo 2.0, I like it. I don't love it. Because the Metazoo 1.0 gameplay was so weird and drastically different. It was very thought provoking, very skillful. I like loved it. The new game, I think it's under great leadership. I think it's so clean and crispy. It looks like an actual TCG. That's why I think it's going to do so much better. It's made for a broader audience, not made for me particularly. So,
From
which
a
I'm trying to
player
get over that
standpoint, or just like in general, like
consumer,
collecting it.
general consumer. Because like collecting and selling it, I'm like, it's not. It's like Lorcana. I think it's gonna hit more people, but it's not for me. I think.
That's fair.
So that's my take. I do like. I think what's it called? Where's that? Yeah, the little poncho box. I think that's awesome, but I'm not like super in love with the new version just yet. But I'm waiting for them to reel me in and be like, "This game's fire. This game's awesome. Here's some cool mechanics. Here we go."
Yeah, I hope for you and anyone else that's still on board with it, they can continue to sort of push forward and do right by the customer. It seems like they're trying to do that. So
Oh yeah, they're definitely doing right. So on 2.0, I just want to play more of a support role and just like if somebody like enjoys it, I'm gonna make sure they're happy with it pretty much. But I don't think I'm gonna full send it like I did 1.0.
yeah. All right. We'll keep chatting for 5-10 more minutes. If anyone wants to leave questions, I will scroll back up because there's not too many. I think Drew had one. I've recently
True.
started trying to vend. You would know this, Zenforce TCG. So I want to know if y'all have any tips on how I can just expand my inventory without spending too much money. That's a tough one right now, I feel like, but expanding your inventory, my suggestion would be whatever existing inventory you have that is like either liquid or you're willing to let go. When you're set up at those booths, try to encourage people to trade in your favor a little bit more. Most people are pretty okay and or used to trading at like 80-85% depending on what it is. And so that means if you have $100 card, them trading anything towards you would be worth about $80 to get that $100 card. So they'd need an additional either $20 cash or $20 worth of cards on top of it. That's sort of how you start the snowball, in my opinion. I was kind of shocked to see that that's how that worked when I started.
It's a little crazy.
I
It's a
was
little
like,
crazy.
wait, people are just okay with that? But it sort of
I
makes
thought
sense to
the
me
thing.
because you're like the one doing a lot of the legwork. A
Mhm.
lot of times, often people are like trading 10 smaller cards for that one grail they want or whatever. And so you're taking on potentially more risk and like, but it does snowball. And the bigger you can do a deal with that sort of percentage, the bigger the snowball. So if you have $100 at 80%, it's a $20 difference. If you have $500 at 80%, that's a $100 difference. So you're able to snowball a little bit better. That would be my piece of advice. I don't know if you have something for that.
Yeah, I think the vending thing is awesome. It's a massive like maybe a cheat code, but what's it called? I think someone mentioned in the chat buying like larger collections. Uh, if you buy in a larger bulk, you kind of get a better deal. So that's one way. But if you don't have a lot of money, I would suggest getting good at grading. I think that's like one of the best like percentage come ups like ever. At least when I first started out and I understood grading, I was like, oh, this Umbreon VMAX goes from I think it was like 700 to 1200 at the time, or 1400 at the time. It was like almost a 2x. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I kind of like trained my eyes to like grade, and then here we are now. But um, grading is like one of the massive like percentage swings you can do for with lower capital, because that's what I had to do back then. It was just find all the good cards in a pile of junk, and then grade the good cards, and then like pray that it comes back to 10, and then sell the 10. Now you have like double the capital to work with, and then you
Yeah, I
just
mean,
start doing
people are
that.
freaking out that it's like $19 instead of $15. It really makes no difference unless you're grading like a $10 card. But the turnaround times is the biggest issue right now because there's a huge backlog. But I
Hmm.
agree, especially at shows where you can see the card in person, especially those big hitter cards. Like if you see, I mean, it'll be hard for certain like Magikarp or whatever. It's just such a tough card, or Obsidian Flames cards.
Oh,
It's
dude.
it's really hard to find one that's has good corners and stuff. But Sword
Yeah.
and Shield all day, you can still find V alternate arts and V Max
Yep.
alts that have rounded corners. Honestly, for Sword and Shield, the biggest issue I've seen is centering. They'll just be like so lopsided to one side, but grading is definitely a good play. I don't know if there was any other questions besides that one that we didn't address.
Yeah, sealed is
So
great because it's very consistent. Singles and slabs are risky. If you can't move fast, it's very risky.
yeah, and Alex Nostalgianomics, and when he used to do the podcast with Pokey Plumber, they've sort of touched on it, but for whatever reason, it feels more painful to let go of sealed than it does singles.
Really?
And to me, like personally, I don't know if it's the shipping or if it's like that there's these nice like cohesive boxes like case fresh in
Oh,
there. I don't know what it is for me personally, but I have that same feeling where like I don't like letting. I know you're like sort of in the process of that flip where you're like, I will take on
yeah.
your higher end stuff and give you sealed. Is that like a space thing,
Well,
or is that just like for show inventory you're sort of running low?
it's my personal inventory, so it's like for me, it's like a space issue and a time issue. It's because like I'm always traveling for shows, and then my storage space is getting like really packed. I'm like, this is a lot of stuff. So I just want to condense down and be like, trade into the same value. Whenever I need cash for whatever reason, I can just like grab one slab and then sell it for like 5K. I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah, that is
Instead of grabbing like,
the one thing about slabs and higher end singles is the space they take up is literally non-existent. Like you can fit 100
right.
slabs in a case that you can just carry on your shoulder or carry on your hand. And so if you have higher end stuff, you know, you can get to a sizable inventory for a show very quickly.
That's why I want to do that, but then there's a massive risk of a market like collapsing. So sealed doesn't collapse as much as hard as like the single or slabs does. So that's why I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do this. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do the deal, but I maybe have to move very fast with the cards that I get in case the
Yeah, or
market
just
gets a
don't
little.
do as much as maybe you initially thought. Like I know, like again, someone like Milan Mushu who has like an insane high end inventory. It's like that takes up his whole case, but maybe you just get like 3 to 5 to 10 higher end cards that again can serve as eye candy, but also you can get some bigger deals done, and then you still kind of have that
Right.
$200-300 cards. I don't know, can help de-risk maybe. Um,
That's
I
who
had
wants the
something
space back.
else I was gonna ask,
Go
but I
ahead.
forgot. Oh, this is just a personal question for the office space. Do you rent that out yourself, or do you share it with Zach or someone else that like makes sense to pay for the rent of the office? I guess.
So for my previous business, I had my own office space. I paid that rent, and then I still have that. So it's like that's how I have like distribution access. With Zach, we have another office as well. We're sharing that one. So yes, we pay for it,
Would
and
you?
I think it's worth it.
It's worth it. Okay, that's what that was going to be my next question. All
Hmm.
right, this will be. I think this is Cameron. It's not his name in the chat, but you think the tariffs will affect Japanese in a negative or positive way as far as want and value? It seems like it's already affecting it in a
Dude,
pretty.
it was immediate.
Yeah, it's pretty drastic in terms of like. I think it's a mixture of things. It's the tariffs and also just like again the build up to this set might not be
Yeah.
what everyone wanted, and so some people are like, I'm chopping off my position in this in Japanese or like fire selling it, but it's a mixture of those things. And again, I think Retro is like essentially figured out a system to like beat everyone because he's like prices
Yeah,
including the tariffs and stuff. I don't know how he is. He just
yeah.
must
As a
have a
Japanese
great.
seller, I'm like, dang, Retro's killing it. But what's it called? So currently, I was in Japan when they announced all the tariff stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, oh god, this is gonna be kind of brutal. But they went from shipping 2,500 as like the max declared value or whatever, like 2,500 to $800. So that's a third of the cost, and then now the shipping price increases almost to 2 to 3x for just a $800 shipment. So things are going to get drastically like I think it's going to go negative. Well, actually, and arguably could be better for regular consumers who just want to collect, cards for cheaper.
Yeah.
I think if you think of it as an investment vehicle, it's going to be very bad. I think if you're treating it as like a hobby and a consumer, you're going to be very happy. So it's a very like, depending on which side you're on, you're going to have goods and bads pretty much.
Yeah, and I think there was for a while there was two different like viewpoints or camps in terms of like some people thought Japanese product was going to go up in value because the tariffs would make it harder to like import it to the country, and so people would
Yeah.
think like, oh, it's become. But I mean, I don't buy that just because historically it feels like as English gets more expensive, Japanese becomes like a more used option. And so it feels like if Japanese becomes harder to get here, it'll either, in my opinion, either decrease in price or just like there won't be enough coming in for the demand to keep up. And it could actually
Right.
lead to English prices increasing. But I do think that, like I said earlier, it feels like to me, the vibe I'm getting is that Destined Rivals is the peak. And I could just be crazy. It might just flatline after. Maybe we don't have any, but it just feels like the constant buildup we've seen for every set, every booster box. I think Destined Rivals is currently, in my opinion, unless I see something insane, is going to be where we start to maybe level off a little bit in terms of these future sets and stuff. But I could be wrong.
Is it the last set before the new thing? The Z.
I think so. I think it's Destined, and then the black and white specialty set. I think that will be 10.5.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's White Flare, Black Bolt, something like that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see that. I'm not a huge fan of black and white personally. I don't know what. I mean, maybe people just grew up with it. I stopped after Diamond and Pearl and Platinum.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
We're on the same boat.
So
but I heard good things about that.
When I saw Tepig, Snivy, Oshawott, I was like, yeah, I'll probably just stick to anime for now. I can move away from Pokemon, but a lot of people love it. And even looking at the cards, the full arts, the secrets, I'm just not a huge fan of that era of Pokemon. So there's some of them that are cool, but it's not my personal favorite. So I'm interested to see. I do like Reshiram and Zekrom and Kyurem, so I'm interested to see how that set performs. I do like them remastering these older sets or older Pokemon with the new artwork because it's fun to see like which ones become illustrations, which ones are special illustrations, and also just like the artwork output. Again, we were sort of let down by Mewtwo, I think, but I feel like they'll probably do like everyone's going to want an SIR of Reshiram and Zekrom, and I have a feeling they're going to do one as an IR, one as an SIR.
Dude, that would suck. I mean,
they always do that, man. They did that with Latios.
I know that was a miss too. That would have been big.
They got to nerf themselves, I guess, like you said.
That's true.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we can end it there. What do you think about Destined Rivals set artwork booty? In my opinion, Moltres can get a pass. Yeah, we sort of touched on it earlier. It sounds like it's not what everyone is expecting, but also to me personally, I like some of them. I think the Nidoking. I don't know who posted it. Shoot, I wish I saved it. Someone posted like the side by side of the old Rocket cards versus the new stuff, and it actually looked really cool. But
like, did it make you appreciate the new ones?
Yeah, it did. No, it did.
Okay.
I felt like you could clearly see like some semblance of like them trying to repeat like some vibe. I don't know. It's tough with the old ones because they don't really have. Oh yeah, this is it. Courtyard.io. Let me see if I can share it. I struggled with this earlier. you know, the older cards like Giovanni's Nidoking, for example, there's not really much going on in the card. He's just like staring at you, so it's tough to
Yeah.
be able to do that. But let me.
Like I wanted Pokemon to go ultra dark and make this dude a villain. But we
No, they
can't
didn't.
have
They
that.
didn't really
It's
make. Yeah, they didn't really make Nidoking much of a villain, I guess. All right, let me see if I can.
a kid's game, dang it.
Wait, how do I? Can you see my screen?
I have to press watch screen.
This
Yeah.
picture. All right, look at this. Hey, it's not showing up on the
Oh,
stream though. I don't know what I did. Oh wait, there it goes. So I kind of liked this because I felt like this gave a good representation of what the comparison.
that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I felt like they did a pretty good job with like. But again, we're not. It still maybe doesn't live up to everyone's expectations, but I
When you put
honestly
it like
would.
this, it's like see it like being a little better.
Yeah, what sucks is that I do agree that probably the Mewtwo is the one that fell the hardest. It feels like the other two are pretty. I like the other two a lot actually. Like the Nidoking, maybe just like the art style isn't. That's what's kind of confusing is like the Moltres is like super uber realistic, and then the Nidoking
Yeah.
is more like thick lines, cartoony. I like the stance he's doing with Giovanni, but it doesn't really like match up as well. It felt like they really hopped around between like going from cartoony to I don't know, just like realistic ones. Because even like the Giovanni's Meowth and stuff was like super cartoony. So I don't know.
Yeah. I agree.
He said I was
We
expecting Mewtwo V2 dead bodies in the lab. Yeah, I think
yeah, no, we can.
that's kind of what. Or like even armored Mewtwo or something like that would be sick.
Oh, yeah.
They
Or
had to
like
do like a regular Mewtwo for yeah. Remember like the old movie cards too. Like they have a scene with like Mewtwo like coming out of the test tube looking at Giovanni. That would have been like the coolest.
I'm saying. And they could have had like his armor like in the back somewhere just
Like he's gonna
displayed.
put it on or something. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been dope.
Oh well, get him in the next rocket set, next era.
They slap it in a random like in a random set.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they just repeat this pattern over and over. I mean, they're doing it with megas. Sounds like there's new megas as well, but like I wouldn't be surprised if they do Diamond and Pearl and Platinum remakes more. Like another Giratina, like ancient, some sort of Team Galactic. Like that would be sick. Cyrus.
I want that.
Yeah, that's my favorite era, so I like couldn't be that the expectations on that one would be tough, but
Yeah, I grew up with Hoenn, but Sinnoh was my favorite all time.
yeah, me too. I think I stopped playing the DS games at Heart Gold Soul Silver, I guess. I thought it was
Oh, I never got to
Platinum.
experience that.
It was so fun. Good games, but
I've heard.
yeah. All right, well, I'll let you go. Thank you for jumping on. Thanks to the 3 remaining people in the chat who put up with us.
Yeah.
It was a good first stream. Can't complain.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can see each other at. Are you doing Tacoma or Portland in the summer in July? Front row.
I forgot to sign up, but hopefully I can figure it out somewhere.
Dude, they're doing 400 tables in Tacoma now. It's like
Easy.
double, or maybe not double, but like 1.5 times. Which I don't think that's actually a good thing for us because more vendors, same amount of crowd, if not maybe lower after Destined. So we'll see. But
yeah, after they did that in Vegas, and it killed. I can feel the traffic slow, but yeah, that's another topic.
All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your night. Thanks for hopping on, and hopefully we can have
Yes,
you
sir.
back on a new one.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll definitely be back. We'll be back soon.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, brother. Peace out.
See ya. All right. That's a wrap. Thank you all for watching, and we'll try to have a new guest next week. If not, I will force myself to do it alone. So we'll